welcome to the bi-weekly ZKsync proposal review call. The main focus of today's call is going to be going over or to be discussing ZIP 16, which was posted on the forum a few days ago. I also have an update on ZIP 15, which is on chain and live for voting right now, and a few other small updates. But to dive right into it, I am going to flash ZIP 16 here, which is the V31 Interop upgrade. We have Valera from the Manor Labs engineering team with us today to talk us through the proposal. So Valera, I will pass the mic over to you and let me know if you need me to scroll.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So thanks for having me. So let's go through the ZIP 16. Will you be presenting, Shelby? Should I just tell you? Okay.
Yep.
So basically, what's happening in ZIP 16 is we're proposing the V31 protocol upgrade for ZKsync, which is a new version. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand straight away. So you can scroll a bit down to the abstract session. So okay. So from the interesting things that are coming in V31, we have Interop calls and bundles, which are built upon the V29 protocol upgrade, which we introduced before. It extends the Interop capabilities, which we have. Earlier, we just had message passing. Now we will also have cross-chain calls and bundles, which allow for token bridging and some custom behaviors if they are to be built. Apart from this, we also introduce Interop fees, which are mechanism for value accrual for both ZKsync, Mother Labs, and chain operators. We'll discuss it a bit later. Also, Steven is in the call. I know that he will share some details about that. Also, in V31, we'll be introducing support for stage 1 for ZKsync OS L1 settling chains. In this release, it's important to know that only ZKsync OS and only those that are settling on L1 will be able to support stage 1. So this is an initial step to stage 1 support in the overall ecosystem. This is like step 1. And apart from that, just some small things like ZKsync OS compatibility work and etc. Not that interesting. So let's scroll a bit down below to the Interop asset transfer section, a bit lower. So yeah, just on a high level overview, we'll be introducing calls and bundles. Important to know that we'll be implementing Ethereum Foundation standards, which is cool, I think, for cross-chain message sending and interoperable addresses. Worth to note, I think that we are one of the first ecosystems to actually incorporate this, but most Interop solutions are targeting to do it, so it's good that we are one of the first ones. As for the calls and bundles, calls are basically just a call that you can execute cross-chain, and bundles is a structure that is built on top of the calls to make it more flexible. You can specify who exactly can execute your call or a bundle. And we also allow for both atomic and partial execution of calls and bundles, which also is very flexible and allows builders to define a lot of different behaviors with such structures. So this is it. Let's go a bit below for the Interop fees section. Yeah, so for the Interop fees, there are two types of them. One is user-facing, which users of the Interop on chains will be paying for. There are two types of those. Users are able to choose if they can pay with base token, and the value of the exact value of the fee that they will be paying is controllable by chain operator. And if they don't want to be exposed to chain operators' behaviors, they can also choose to pay in ZK, which is fixed. It's not upgradable. It's not updatable by chain operator. It can only be updated with protocol upgrade. So it's like censorship mechanism, basically, to ensure the safety of users. And apart from those, the sending fees, by the way, both sending fees, which are user-facing, and settlement fees, which I will mention later, are being taken on per call basis. So if you send a bundle with 3 calls, you will pay basically 3 times the fee. So it's like 1 call, you have to pay 1-time fee. For the settlement fees, they're being taken from the chain operators when they settle their chains, which include actions, interop actions, calls or bundles on gateway. So just to reiterate, sending fees are paid by users, they are being paid to chain operator, and settlement fees are being paid by operators, and they are being paid to basically gateway. And it is, as of right now, governance is controlling the fees which are being collected on the gateway. So this is it. Let's go below for the stage one. Stage one basically introduces stage one mode for the ZKsync OS L1 settling chains. We do not force any chain to use it, so they're free to choose whether they want to activate stage one mode or not. If they will not, obviously they will not have stage one. If they will, then the following will be true. So even before, we of course had priority transactions, which users can submit from L1. Right now, if operator misbehaves and chain has stage one turned on, if any priority transaction has not been executed in 4 days, then anyone permissionlessly can activate priority mode, in which the stage one mode will be activated, and anyone will be able to commit proof and execute the batch, basically going away from dependency on operator. So it's censorship resistance, stage one, yada yada. And for the interesting things in V31, this is it. Apart from that, there were just some small things like ZKsync OS compatibility and smaller changes, but from the ones that are interesting, I think this is it.
Great. Thank you so much, Valera, for the detailed overview. Does anybody have any questions about any of the key changes presented with ZIP 16? Yes, Manuel, go ahead.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the presentation, Valera. It was very nice, and I just have a couple of questions about it, just to understand very good about the fee model. I understand how the fees are collected according with the fees and dynamic pricing, but how is distributed specifically? Because according with the picture that I have on my mind, once this will be implemented, the all fees will be collected together, right? But how each fee will be distributed to each chain? You know what I mean?
Okay, so let me try to answer your question. If my answer doesn't answer it, please just tell me. So you're interested in sending fees or settlement or both of them?
Basically, in sending the fees.
Okay, in sending fees, basically when the user tries to send an interop action, which is either call or bundle, on the entry point on L2, which is interop center, it is an entry point for all interop actions. User will have to pay the fee in the same transaction where he sends an interop action, and this fee will go, it will basically be stored in interop center contract itself, and only the chain operator will be able to withdraw it from there. So basically, it's up to chain operator what he wants to do with this fee. But fees are sending fees, which are user-facing. They're being collected on L2s, and only the chain operator is able to withdraw them.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. And now, my other question is, well, this is my typical way of thinking right now. And to me, every single action is just a little piece of a bigger picture. So once this will be fully implemented, what is the future use cases that will be unlocked with this?
So the next actions that we have planned for Interop is introducing many actually interesting things, but from the most, I think, interesting is private Interop, which is going to be institutional facing change, which is very big. And we also want to introduce L2 to L1 Interop to access liquidity from L2s on L1, and also many other features, but all of them are currently in discussion. So mostly we are being focused on what partners need and the community needs, and this is it. We move according to that.
Amazing.
Yeah, just to jump in here quick, just to also like clarify or ask a question, Valera, too. It sounds like you guys there's always more that we can add or do, right, for Interop. But with this upgrade, my understanding was that this is kind of like the final piece to deploy at least like the kind of core features and functions of Interop, correct?
I mean, yeah, you could say so, but from my at least thinking process, I think introducing private interop will be, a huge milestone, obviously. But yeah, this is also a very big step.
Great. Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to confirm that quick. And to your question, Emmanuel, I actually wanted to pull in Stephen, which worked out perfectly because he has his hand up, to maybe add a little bit more context, or if he had any comments or questions about the bigger picture piece of your question.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I can't turn on video at the moment, but yeah, it's a good question, Emmanuel. And to build off of what Valera said and what Shelby said, I'm super excited and happy about this Interop rollout because it's been a long time coming. This is essentially the way that I like to frame it for people, is that this is the third piece of the puzzle so that we finally have native Interop live between ZKsync public chains. Now, like Valera said, there's also other steps. The really big, exciting one is private interop that the team is working on, which would then be Providiums being able to do interop, but keep all the information private, which is exactly what banks and institutions want. But everything is a stepping stone. So right now we have, with this upgrade V31, we have public interop, which will be live between all ZKsync chains. So you can think of it like, you can move money from ZKsync Era to Abstract to SoFun to ADI to Gravity, all natively within the protocol level. And just if you're looking at what happened, a week ago with the massive hack that just happened with layer 0, this essentially prevents that from happening because you don't have to worry about these third-party operators. It's all natively baked into the ZKsync protocol. So it's super exciting. And this is also something that we've been working on for a really long time, and it fixes our thesis of essentially shared users and shared liquidity throughout the entire Elastic network. This is something that we've talked about for a long time. So now, looking forward into the future, every new user and every new dollar that joins the ZKsync ecosystem, whether they're on ZKsync Era or they're on Abstract, or once we have private interop, they're on Providiums, is able to freely flow between all the chains. So this is something that we've talked about a lot in the past, where the biggest problem that we have in crypto, especially in L2 land, is siloed liquidity and siloed users, where every chain, whether it's Era or it's Base or it's Optimism or it's Arbitrum, every chain is like an isolated island where every user and every dollar of liquidity is stuck on that island. And you have to rely on third-party bridges, whether it's Wormhole or Across or Layer 0, whatever, to go back and forth with ZKsync. Well, we call it ZKsync Connect, but essentially it's native interop that breaks down those barriers. So any user and any dollar that is in the ecosystem can freely flow. And I'm not going to get too into the fees yet, because that is something that we're working on in the background as well. But I think you guys will be very excited to see what we come out with in the next, let's just call it a few weeks. But I can't talk about it quite yet, but I think you guys can all take guesses as to what we're working on behind the scenes in regards to interop fees and stuff that we've talked about with ZKnomics in the past, right? So I'll just leave that as a little nugget because I can't talk too much about it. And then as far as stage 1, this is something that we've all talked about a lot in the past, and it's something that has been wanted in the community for a long time. And like Valera said, it's going to be up to the individual ZKsync chain operators whether they want to incorporate this or not. But I assume that a lot of people will want to incorporate stage 1 functionality and just get closer to, being more decentralized and more Ethereum aligned. So yeah, that's it from my side that I want to chat about.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen or Valero?
Manuel, I see you have your hand raised.
Well, I just wanted to let the opportunity to other to make any question. If not, I
Looks
can
like
proceed.
you're up. Yeah, you're up.
Well, no, the thing is like, well, after the recent problem that we had into the ecosystem with the hack and the old things, I think that right now everyone is just like extra careful and trying to put details in everything, right? So my question is like, with this new implementation, is there any other or new risk that maybe is implemented, or you already know it and you cover it? So do we have any risks associated to this new implementation?
Valera, do you
We
want
can,
to take that one from
I
the
can,
engineering side, and I can answer from governance side?
yeah, I'll let Valera take it in 1 second, but just as a quick overview, the difference between this type of bridging and other types of bridging, and please, Valera, correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't a third-party bridge. This is baked into the native protocol layer. So the difference with this type of bridging and other types of bridging is usually that the other types of bridges, when you are using something like that, they have to either burn and mint or they hold on to a large portion of the supply that gets locked on one chain before it goes to another chain, and then they're able to access that money in the other chain, right? So what happened with layer 0 is they basically hacked that and they were able to mint a ton of tokens on the destination chain without actually having those backed tokens be locked, right? That's the big problem. But because ZKsync Interop is natively baked into our protocol, we don't have to rely on this third-party bridging. We can keep it all internally, which helps prevent that. But Valera, please explain other perspectives or any deeper. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, so Stephen is basically right here. Also, I would want to mention it's a bit more technical detail, but if you are really interested in, you can look through the ZIP16 yourself. There is a link for the gateway asset tracker, which is a big security measurement that we have for our internal Interop system, which basically contaminates the risk really hard. Also, apart from it, of course, you can probably find it with Command F or something. There's a link straight to the gateway tracker doc, but it doesn't matter. So also apart from that, of course, we have a lot of security work inside. Audits, of course, there's one ongoing right now. Internal audits, we also have a bunch of tools to ensure the safety and blah, blah. So yeah, I wouldn't take this upgrade as like more riskier than previous ones. Basically, all of the guarantees are on the protocol level, as Stephen mentioned, so it is good. Everything is considered for, and this is it.
Great. And that brings me to the governance side of things as well, because this is native to the protocol as well. We have, well, the emergency upgrade board who's able to step in case of emergencies, for emergency upgrades if needed, but also, Valera, am I correct in understanding, with the settlement fees that this is also, there's like a governance control element to that as well?
Yes, so the governance is the only entity who is allowed to withdraw the fees which are collected on the gateway.
Yeah, amazing. So Manuel, I hope that answers your question. There's a few different elements or pieces to it. But yeah, hope that setup was
Amazing, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love how every single one of you give me a different answer and just try to complement to each other. That was incredible. And to be honest with you guys, I think that this implementation is very interesting, especially because right now in other ecosystems we have similar ideas like the OOP stack and that kind of things. So, well, the best luck for you and keep working good as always. Well, that's it from my side. Thank you for answering my questions.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. And appreciate you, Valera, for joining today and presenting. and Stephen, thanks for also hopping in and adding some additional context here. If there are no other questions, we can move on with the rest of our points. I also know, Valera, you have to run, so last call, last chance for questions before we move on. Great. Okay. Thank you so much. And
Thank you for joining.
we will move right along to our next point, I guess, before just saying, if you have any other questions or if others come up, feel free to drop them on the forum as always. We will try to get an updated, oh, that was one last thing, I guess, was timeline for when this will go on chain. We have to get an update, or the governance team has to get an update from the engineering team, but essentially what our current understanding, which this may change again, because as Valera mentioned, there's an ongoing audit. I believe it was sometime mid-May-ish, mid to late May, this will probably go on chain. So there's still some time. Just again, depending on how long the audit will take. So yeah. As timelines become clear, we'll be sure to keep everybody updated, of course. Okay, great. Then moving on to our next point here was just a quick update on ZIP 15. ZIP 15 was the update for the ZKsync Security Council parameters, reducing the number of signers from 12 to 8, adjusting the compensation to 3K per month per signer, and also adjusting the thresholds for the new 8 signer number. This proposal is on chain. Quorum was met on Monday, and voting will end tomorrow at about 5:20 p.m. UTC. So if you haven't voted yet and you would like to vote, you still have time, approximately another 24 hours. So you can do that. But as I mentioned, quorum has been met. It's looking likely that it will pass. We will keep you folks updated on that, of course, once voting ends. And if it does pass, it will be executed probably sometime early next week. Any questions on ZIP 15 before we move on? Great. Okay. Then I'll just share the link to ZIP 15 quickly in the chat, in case anybody needs that. Then moving on to the next topic on the agenda, which is just some quick updates on the ZKsync or ZKnomics staking pilot program. There is just 1.5 weeks left of season 1 of the staking pilot program. There is currently about 340 million ZK staked. APR is targeting about 10% right now. There's in terms of rewards distributed so far, it's been about 4.2 million ZK to participants. My favorite metric, of course, is the net increase of active voting power through the delegate to stake mechanism that's built into the staking pilot program. It's currently around a net new of 287 million ZK, or a net increase of 287 million ZK in active voting power, which puts us super close to 1.2 billion ZK in active delegated voting power, meaning that we are getting even closer to 2x quorum of active delegating voting power, which is really exciting. Reminder that season 1 ends on Friday, February 8th, so in about a week and a half, next Friday. The staking pilot program admin, alongside of Tally, will be writing and producing a season 1 summary. It will include like kind of metrics, kind of key metrics and analysis from season 1 of the staking pilot. It will include some like takeaways and recommendations for future seasons, and it will also include information regarding season 2. That report from the program admin can probably be expected about mid-May. In the meantime, there's no action required by stakers. That will also all be shared in that report as well, if there are any. Any questions? Great. Okay. Then we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is just a few ecosystem updates or reminders. ZKsync Lite will be fully deprecated on May 4th. That is Monday, so this coming Monday. There are still quite a few assets. If you look on L2B, there's quite a few assets still on ZKsync Lite. If you think you may have any on there, I recommend checking out this post here. I'll also share it in the chat. There's instructions on how you can go claim that before Lite is deprecated, and I believe there'll be more information shared about this over the coming days as well, if anybody's interested or if this affects anyone. Great. And then the other just quick ecosystem update is ETHPrague. We have quite a few ZKsync governance geeks who will be in Prague next weekend, so May 8th through the 10th. And there's quite a few of us giving talks as well, including Chris from L2B. We have Polar giving all his cool like crypto Twitter culture talks. Toby from Grow the Pie is giving a talk. I'm giving a talk. There may be others, I guess, from the ZKsync ecosystem, but the lineup actually looks really cool, looks really good, and I have it here. I can also share it in the chat. So yeah, I don't know if anybody on the call will be in ETHPrague or planning to attend. I know Chris, obviously Manuel will be there. But yeah, if folks are around, come say hi or reach out. Would be happy to meet up and chat or grab a coffee or one of the famous Czech beers that you can surely easily find there. But yeah, just wanted to give it a shout out to folks just because there's quite a few ZKsync delegates, governance geeks who will be there talking. Great, and that's actually all I had for you folks today. Again, the big piece here, of course, is ZIP16, the V31 upgrade. I've been talking about this since Q3 maybe last year, so really exciting to see it finally get on the forum and hopefully soon also on chain. If there's no other questions or topics, we can call it here. I will have notes and recording up on the forum by the end of the day tomorrow, as always. And otherwise, I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Shelby, and others for everything. Bye.